Good evening, and thank you for joining this live virtual town hall meeting hosted by the Regional Transportation District, also known as RTD. I'm Roger, and I'll be your moderator tonight as we have a conversation with RTD Director Bobby Dishell, who represents District D. District D includes parts of the city and county of Denver, Commerce City, and Adams County. We also have agency staff joining Director Dishell to answer your questions, and they'll introduce themselves during the call. Tonight, we'll be covering several topics, including customer safety initiatives, RTD's fair study and equity analysis, current recruitment efforts, and the next steps for Reimagine RTD. This is your opportunity to share your thoughts about RTD and ask questions. If this is your first time on a virtual telephone town hall, here's how it works. To ask a question on your telephone, just press *3 and you will be transferred to an operator who will take down some basic information and get you in the queue. Once the operator has your information, you can listen to the conversation until it's your turn. And when it is your turn, I'll call your name and ask you to please repeat your question for our live audience. We want to answer as many questions as possible, so please try to be brief. If you are participating online at rtd-denver.com/town hall, you can ask a question or take part in polls directly on the streaming player. And folks on the call can also view the slide deck on social media on YouTube. And finally, for those watching live stream or on social media, you can always submit your questions as a comment. We just want to hear from you. So either submit your question right below the media viewer or as a comment on YouTube. We'll be asking some live, in addition to answering live questions live, we will be asking for survey questions during the call, and I'll explain that process to you a little bit later. So it's now my pleasure to introduce Director D, Bobby Dishell. Bobby, go ahead.
Thanks, Roger. I appreciate the kind introduction, and thank you all for being here this evening. Just a quick housekeeping note. District D is parts of the city and county of Denver, all of the city of Englewood, Sheridan, and Beaumar, portions of Littleton, Lakewood, and unincorporated Arapahoe County. I'm so glad that you all are here tonight. Part of my role on the board of directors, and one of my favorite parts of being on the board of directors, is getting to engage with constituents. My focus and my hope is to elevate constituent voices while also working and focusing through a lens of equity and working to reduce our climate emissions. I'm excited to answer your questions and share important updates with you. Again, to ask a question, press *3 or enter your question or comment online. Roger, before we dive into our first topic, I'd love to learn a little bit about the folks who have joined us tonight. Let's go ahead and ask our first survey question.
All right, we will definitely do that, Director. As Director Dishell just mentioned, we'd like to learn a little bit about those of you who are participating tonight. So it's easy to participate in our telephone surveys. All you have to do is enter the number of your response on your telephone keypad. And if you're participating online, just click your response. Here's that question. How frequently do you ride RTD services? Press 1 for every day. Press 2 for once or twice a week. Press 3 for once or twice a month. Press 4 if you ride a few times per year. And press 5 if you do not currently use RTD services. Please record your vote now. We'll share the results with you in just a few minutes. And again, if you have a question or comment, just press *3 on your telephone keypad, or if you're participating online, type in your question directly under the streaming player. There has been a lot of news coverage about safety concerns in the Denver metro area. I'd like to ask Steve Martinano. I'm sorry, I didn't even ask how to pronounce it before we got on board. So we'll have Steve introduce his last name. I apologize. Steve's Deputy Chief of RTD's Transit Police Division, and I'm going to ask him to introduce himself and correct my poor pronunciation, talk a little bit about what RTD is doing to help improve safety on transit and at RTD stations and bus stops. Steve, welcome.
Well, thanks, Roger. And if I had to pronounce my name, I'd be a millionaire right now. So my name is Steve Martingano. I'm actually right now the interim police chief for RTD. Give you a quick history about my career. I've been in law enforcement for 29 years. I started in 1993 for NYPD out in New York. I visited this great state of Colorado on a vacation, loved it here, came out here. I worked for Arvada, and then I also worked for Denver PD before coming over to RTD in 2015. So, we have heard our customers' concerns about inappropriate behavior they are seeing around the city lately. And as more people are using transit again, whether they are on their way to the office or, just going out and about around town, safety and security is always a top priority for RTD. And I can assure you that every day our RTD staff, whether it be our security or our employees, we work extremely hard to make sure our customers get to their destination safely. But one of the areas of concern is unwanted activities at the transit areas, especially around Denver Union Station. And, we have formed a great partnership and working with the city and county of Denver. The collaboration has been outstanding. We started that several months ago from our CEO reaching out to the mayor. And just recently in April, we had announced a lot of security enhancements that we're going to be doing, especially around the bus concourse down below at Union Station. Right now, some of the things we're doing short term is we're doing better lighting. We went out there with a light reader and we found areas that we could illuminate a lot better for everyone's safety. So that's being replaced. Other things we're doing is certain entrance and exit points are being converted to emergency exits. So that's going to allow for better pedestrian flow. And our service and cleaning crew, part of our facility maintenance team, they do an amazing job to begin with, but they are doing double duties of really making sure they're doing deep cleaning around Union Station just so that everyone feels more comfortable in that area. I will tell you that over the next 12 to 16 months, you're going to see a lot of changes in that area. The bus concourse will convert to a paid fare area. That is going to be, we're going to put infrastructure there to restrict access and make sure that the people using the bus concourse are actual customers of RTD. And they're using our buses and as well as our trains to commute, to and from places. So this involves a huge redesign of the area. The project is expected to cost about anywhere from $10 to $15 million. And we do recognize that this is a very expensive upgrade. But under our strategic priority financial success, RTD takes, we're very serious about the management of all of our financial resources, and this project's no exception. So one of the things we are doing is we're going to reinvest funds from the return of the approximately, I think it was about $29 million of the credit risk premium, which was part of the original investment into Union Station. And we're going to utilize that funding to implement and construct design improvements to enhance the customer experience when they are within the station.
Thanks, Steve. Director, how can customers stay up to date with these changes?
Roger, RTD's launched a web page dedicated to providing updates on the facility enhancements at Denver Union Station. That web page is rtd-denver.com/projects/restoring-DUS. That's rtd-denver.com/projects/restoring-DUS. Customers can also sign up for a newsletter on the website and get updates directly to their emails. In addition to the enhancements at Denver Union Station, RTD is making other changes to ensure customers are safe when traveling. Steve, would you talk about those changes?
Yeah, absolutely, Director. When I became interim police chief in March, one of the first things I did was I restructured our transit police division into 4 sectors. We named them impact teams, and we have a team that goes out there and they are specifically assigned to buses, another one that's assigned to rail. We have a community engagement officer who reaches out and attends events and just tries to get the RTD Transit Police name out there. And the last team, which is one of my personal favorites that I introduced here years ago, is a mental health and homeless outreach impact team. So for those that don't know, RTD, we were the first the first public transportation agency in the country that took aboard mental health clinicians. We have 4 of them, and they're in a co-responder unit where they ride with our officers, and they go out and they contact individuals that experience mental health issues. We took the data that we received from that, we applied for a grant, and we won the grant, and we now have a homeless outreach coordinator that assists with contacting individuals that are experiencing homelessness, and they might be putting encampments up around our areas, and we go out, we contact them and try to direct them to the services they need. We also employ secondary employment officers from local police jurisdictions, and we also have our security contract currently with Allied Universal, where those are probably the first faces you'll see on our systems. So all these changes in regards, also with the partnership with our local police departments, we are hoping to, try to quickly respond to any customer safety issues that you may have.
Chief, sometimes we get calls from customers who wonder why the commuter rail lines, including both the A and G lines, have armed security on each train, but light rail lines do not always have an officer or security personnel traveling on board. Why is that?
Roger, that's a great question. And if I had $1 for every time that one's asked, I'd double my money. So what it is the Federal Railroad Administration requires a second crew member on our commuter rail line. So the A, B, G, and the N line needs to have a second crew member due to the size and weight of those trains. So we are mandated to have that, but we are not mandated to have a second crew member on all of our light rail vehicles. What we do is we have our rail impact team, like I stated, as well as our security officers, and we check as many trains and be as many platforms as we can daily. We check our fares to make sure that our customers are traveling safety. But I will tell you the best way to get in touch with our security division is this is a free app that you can be downloaded on either Apple or Android platforms, and allows customers to report security and safety concerns easily and discreetly because it's text-based. So you don't have to be on a train and talk out loud about a situation you're observing. You could text it. It goes directly to one of our 2 RTD police communication centers. And if you don't have the ability to download those apps, you could go ahead and call directly at 303-299-2911. The one thing we do ask, whether it be the phone call or utilizing the Transit Watch app, please be as specific as possible in reporting the situation, including your location and the descriptions of persons involved, so we know exactly which resources to send out there to assist you. And when you submit an incident report, you help our team resolve situations and provide information that help us determine where we should focus our resources.
All right, thanks, Chief. Again, you can download the Transit Watch app on both your Apple and Android smartphones. And if you don't have a smartphone, you can reach RTD's Transit Police at 303-299-2911. Before we start taking your questions, here are the results of our first survey question. We asked, how frequently do you ride RTD services? And 32% of you said a few times a year. 24% said you're not currently a rider of RTD. 20% said once or twice a week, and 12% each said every day or once or twice a month. We appreciate your feedback on that survey question. We will have 3 more questions during this call. And for those of you that don't currently use transit, we continue to work hard to improve our services to increase the number of individuals who do use us every day. And we certainly appreciate our customers who choose to take transit. If you don't, give us a try. All right, it's time to get to your questions, and we are going to start with a question from Katie. Go ahead, you're live with our audience. Go ahead.
Hi, good evening. So you already answered a part of my question about, I really appreciate that your security service connects people to mental health services. So I guess kind of a practical question. I can't drive because my eyes are too bad, and I ride the light rail to work, and I also ride it to take my son places. And I have called in or seen security issues a lot of times involving people that appear to be unhoused. So when a call comes in, how quickly can you respond? I'm just thinking because I have my toddler with me, and I'm just thinking about what about other families that ride the train and are worried, and they might not have a different option because they have littles, or they can't drive or something, and they're worried about their safety because they have little ones with them. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
It does, Katie. Thank you. Chief, do you want to talk a little bit about that, or Director Dishell?
Steve Mangano.
Go ahead, Chief. I was going to pass it to you.
Oh, okay. I appreciate that. Yeah, so, great question. I appreciate that, and we fully understand, that every now and then we're going to have some incidents on our train or buses. If you call it in, again, as I reiterated earlier, if you try to be as specific as possible, then we know what type of resources to send. We do have security officers. We do have our internal police officers as well as secondary employment that we have with Denver, Thornton, and Aurora currently. We're reaching out to other agencies to see if they want to join this program. But we do prioritize calls. So again, if it's a situation that somebody's doing something on there, but it's not life-threatening or personal bodily injury or something of that extreme nature, we are going to send our resources to something that is a little bit more needs immediate assistance. But we do work with the outside agencies as well, and we'll call local police jurisdictions to see if they have someone available, depending on where our resources are at that time. We do go through 8 counties and 40-plus cities, 2,300 square miles. So our staff tries to be everywhere, but we do need the help from local police agencies to combat certain issues that are associated more so with their cities.
All right, let me just remind you, if you're on the phone, press *3 to be directed to an operator. So we'll take down some quick information and get you in the queue so you can ask a question. You can also, if you're following us online, submit a question either directly below the web viewer on rtd-denver.com or as a comment on YouTube. We've got a few coming in, and we're going to get to those as well. But first, let's hear from Richard. Richard, go ahead with your question.
Bobby, it's a question directly to you, and it's very simple. When was the last time you rode an RTD bus or a train?
Sure, Richard. Happy to answer it. I took the bus to work this morning. I don't own a personal vehicle, and so I rely on our transit system and mobility or micro-mobility services in order to get around our city, to get to and from the district, to downtown central business district, as I'm living my life. So I am a frequent and regular user and happy to take a ride on a bus or train with anyone, anytime.
All right, let's go to a question submitted online by Andrea. She asks, I often travel alone on RTD. What should I do if I'm suddenly in a situation that makes me feel unsafe? Chief, you want to take that one?
Back to what I had stated earlier, but that RTD Transit Watch app is probably the best tool any of our customers could have. Again, it's text-based, so if you are on a train and you don't feel comfortable with their surroundings, you are able to text. It goes directly to our Transit Police Dispatch Center, like it would have been if you would have called on the phone. And if you give information the best you can in regards to what you're experiencing, everyone's obviously texting on their phones nowadays, so it doesn't seem, you're not going to draw attention to what you are doing. And, our RTD Transit Watch does have GPS based on it, so if you don't know what stop you just went past, we'll be able to obtain all that from your Transit Watch usage into our system. So, and again, be as detailed as you can so we know exactly who to send and how quickly, if we need to reach to outside resources or anyone else to get the assistance that we need to you. So.
Thank you, Chief. Great question so far. We thank you. Oh,
Roger,
go ahead. Someone else want to jump in?
Yeah, it's Director Dishell. Chief, I just have a quick question for you to maybe help folks out. do you have a list of maybe, the 3 most important things people can do when they're submitting their comments on the Transit Watch app? I know if you're feeling unsafe, it can be challenging to think about, I want to provide every detail. But, Chief, what are sort of the most helpful things for you all when people are submitting items? If you can think of maybe top 3, top 1 in terms of those details that you all are looking for.
Yeah, even before you even submit anything, the very first thing you should be doing is making sure your personal safety is first and paramount, right? So if you're able to and you don't feel comfortable on the train, if you get on another train car once it goes to another platform, like I said, we have our security, our police officers are all around. They might be on platform, they might be on another car. Also look around. There's always safety in numbers. So if there's other customers that are riding, please go a little bit closer to them. Those are my first recommendations that I would give anybody, including my own family. When you do utilize the text, just try to give us as much information as you can, and what you're seeing or even what you're feeling. But the thing I ask you to not do is to keep your head in the phone and keep texting. Every now and then, stop texting, look up, hit send, and you could always follow up with, giving information to our dispatch center as it goes. They will go ahead and send stuff back to you as well. So you'll have a communication, but please, the one thing that we definitely don't want someone doing is keeping their head in the phone the whole entire time while they're trying to get the information across.
All right. Good advice. Thank you, Director, for that follow-up question. Important stuff here. We are very appreciative of those that have sent in a question or are waiting online on the phone. As a reminder, if you are on the phone and want to ask a question, press star 3 on your keypad. If you're participating online at rtd-denver.com/townhall, you can ask a question or take part in the polling survey questions directly from below the streaming player. And also, we're monitoring YouTube, so if you have a question, just type it into the comments section, and we will get to it as soon as we possibly can. We're going to move on to our next topic for tonight's call, and that is RTD's Fair Study and Equity Analysis. Chris Quinn is with us tonight from RTD. Chris, would you introduce yourself and provide an update?
Yeah, thanks, Roger. Yeah, this is Chris Quinn. I am with RTD. I'm with the RTD Planning Department, and we are right now conducting a fair study and equity analysis. The last time we did this effort was in 2016, and then we followed that up with a past program review in 2019. But since that time, we have heard a lot from customers that our current fare structure is too expensive and it's confusing to use. So one of our strategic priorities as an agency is customer excellence, where we strive to deliver consistent, high-quality customer service. And so it's our intent that the fair study and equity analysis will help us identify areas where we can improve the customer experience when taking transit. So this project will seek to understand our customers' opinions and preferences on the current fare structure, and then how we can improve them. To date, RTD has hosted 2 public meetings. One of those was solely in Spanish, and we've also had 3 customer feedback panels as well. And in addition, we've invited customers to provide feedback on the current fare structure using a survey. That survey is now closed, but it was available in English, Spanish, Chinese, and Vietnamese. And we've received over 2,400 responses to that survey.
All right, thank you, Chris. Is the community engagement, Chris, is the community engagement for the fair study over now, and where is RTD in the process currently?
Yeah, so we expect the process to continue through 2022 with the hope that we would have a recommendation for review by the RTD Board of Directors probably this time next year, so in 2023. There will be many more opportunities for customers to share their ideas. During the summer, customers will be able to get involved in the evaluation of conceptual fare options and the trade-offs that would be associated with those when we are evaluating alternatives to the current fare structure. And we do have public meetings scheduled for June 23rd. That will be in English, and June 29th in Spanish. Both those meetings will be at 6 p.m. Those will be virtual meetings just like this, and we will have information up on our website, and I'll talk more about that later. So if you are interested in those, we would encourage you to attend. Also in the fall, we will connect with the public once more to try to get more feedback on our refined list of fare alternatives. Now, I want to note also that before any changes to fare products go into effect, there will be a series of public meetings where the public can see then what the final proposed changes are and then offer their feedback before this goes to the board of directors for their final review and approval.
And people can, Chris, where can people learn more about the process?
Yeah, so if you're interested in providing feedback to us, you can sign up for updates on RTD's website. If you rather than me giving you the URL for that, if you just Google RTD Fare Study, it'll take you right to the web page that we have, and you can sign up for updates. And we do have quite a bit of information posted on that as well. And then I just want to, put a plug out there, a bit of a reminder that RTD currently does offer discounted fares to youth, people with disabilities, and seniors. Discounts are also available for low-income residents as part of the LIVE program, and we do have information for that on our website as well. If you just go to the rtd-denver.com website and click under the fares, passes, and discount fares, that will take you to the page that will show what you might be eligible for.
All right, thank you, Chris. Let's take a moment now to ask our second survey question. For callers, please use your telephone keypad to enter the number of your response. If you are participating online, just type or click your response. And here's that second question. Do you believe that RTD fares should be more affordable, even if it results in less service? Press 1 for yes, press 2 for no, and press 3 if you're not sure. Please record your vote now, and I'll share the results with you in a few minutes, and we're going to try to get back to some of your questions. Pam is next. Go ahead.
Hi, thank you. I have a question. I'm concerned about bus stops. Some benches were removed outside of the Volunteers of America Senior Housing Unit on the corner of Anaheim and Albrook in Montbello. They were removed about 3 months ago, and seniors are standing there on these corners knowing that the buses are not as reliable as they used to be. And it's very hot for them to be standing, walking in circles. It's just too hot, and I'm just wondering what's the delay in replacing those benches or installing a cover outside their facility.
Who'd like to take that question from Pam?
Nobody wants to touch it.
Hey, Roger, this is Steve Martingano.
Oh, go ahead.
Sure, Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, so, if I could get that bus stop again, and what I'll do is I have a list, for within our police jurisdiction of every bus stop, who owns it, and who manages it and everything else. So I'll look in to see who actually owns that bus stop and, why the bench is removed, and also try to follow up to see if a bench is going to be replaced. Sometimes they're taken out, asked by the cities in regards to maybe loitering issues and other stuff. Other times, they might need repairs. So I will find out the answer for you. If you just, if you don't mind waiting till possibly Monday, I could definitely get you an answer.
Thanks, Steve. We'll get you her number so we can follow up directly with Pam. Let's go to Anthony next on the phone. Anthony, go ahead.
Yes, thank you for taking my call. Part of RTD's mandate is to serve poorer citizens, and most politicians believe poverty can be solved. So what does that mean for RTD's future? And my answer to that is then you have to appeal to middle and upper class citizens. And the thing I find with my circle of friends in those economic classes is we don't want to use the service because it's so unsafe. And, you addressed that earlier, so I appreciate that information, so that's very good. But also, it's not a comfortable ride, and a lot of the buses are frankly dirty and disgusting. Horrible smells on them. It sometimes feels like the exhaust is fed right back into the bus itself because you could smell that type of smell on the buses. So if you're going to appeal to customers who voluntarily, instead of economically needing RTD, how are you going to do that?
Anthony, this is Director Dishell. Thanks for that question. I want to just name a few things. Of course, your experience there is absolutely valid, as anyone's lived experience is, but I would encourage you to, if you haven't lately, take a ride on the bus, especially since we've implemented our COVID protocols. I think the other thing to keep in mind is sort of the undertones of what it means for people who are in poverty. And if you'd like to provide your email, I'm happy to send you academic reports on what it means for the difference between what you described as what people call choice riders, as well as those who are transit dependent. And really, it's a matter of people electing to take transit or to not take transit. There's ways we can advocate for better land use planning so that we do not end up with one concentration of low-income folks, one concentration of middle-income folks, and one concentration of higher-income folks. But again, I am more than happy to send you these studies that evaluate, sort of the racial undertones and the issues of the past of saying, the poor people should get one type of service and the rich people should get a different type of service. And you've even seen that within our own district. If you look at the buses that operate on the Flatiron Flyer versus the buses that operate on the 15, I know that RTD has some deferred maintenance, which this current board of directors has dedicated a sizable amount of funds to upping that, to taking a hit at our deferred maintenance. And really chopping away at that. So you should be seeing a number of new buses being rolled out here pretty shortly as we continue to replace those buses that are beyond their useful life, as well as the rail cars.
All right, we have an online question submitted by Caleb. He asks, how does RTD define equity? Chris, is that something you can take?
Roger, if we have Carl Green on the line, I'd love for him to be able to take that one.
Carl, you want to jump in?
I don't know if we have him on the phone or not.
I think he may be caught off guard. Chris, do you want to start? And then if Carl wants to come in afterwards, that'd be great.
Yeah, so this is Chris Quinn. I'm with the planning department at RTD. And basically, when we're talking about equity, we want equity to work toward and promote the fair distribution of the resources and opportunities with a strong emphasis on historically underrepresented communities and Title VI protected populations. Also want to emphasize that RTD strives to ensure that any plan changes will not negatively impact customers based on race, color, or national origin, or ensure that low-income populations do not bear a disproportionate burden of the change. And Carl, if you are on, welcome any additional information you could provide.
Yeah, thanks for that, Chris. I would say so I'd just like to weigh in. I think you summed it up quite well, Chris, as far as our RTD's definition of equity. And just to expand on that a little bit is just thinking about on a fundamental level, equity can refer to equal access as well as to the fairness with which impacts when we're specifically thinking about benefits and burdens and how they are distributed by an agency's program, service, or activity. So as we think about equity and the importance of understanding this is to define who is more likely to receive more of that burden or less of the benefit given their circumstances or lived experiences. So that's what I would add in addition to what Chris just noted.
Thank you, Carl. All right, here are the results of our second survey question. We asked, do you believe that RTD fares should be more affordable even if it results in less service? And 53% of you said no, 24% of you said yes, and 23% of you were not sure. Let's go next to a question from Joe. Joe, go ahead.
Thank you very much, and thank you for taking my call. I'm enjoying listening. I'm an Access-a-Ride user. My question is, I haven't heard anything at all from the board of directors, any of the planning for the future or now, including Access-a-Ride. And many of us who are on the Access-a-Ride feel very left out of the future of RTD. And where there's been great improvements, which we're tickled to death, we're very happy. There's a segment of Access-a-Ride that use a computer. A lot of our seniors cannot use a computer, and those of us, and some people, cannot use a computer. So we're left out in that area because, when you make a reservation, you can call in. We would like to be included in those updates, but I wish there would be a way that we could call in, like to use the Uber Access-a-Ride. Right now, if you don't know how to use a computer, then you're left out. So I'd like to hear your comments. Thank you very much for the call, and I'm from Englewood, Colorado. Thank you.
Chris, who would like to take that question? And Director, if you had any comments, also go ahead.
Hi, Joe. Yeah, this is Chris again from the planning department. And yeah, thanks for your comments on that. As part of the fare structure, study, we will be looking at how the change in fares would impact the ADA services and the corresponding cost of what those would be. Related to your question on the accessibility of being able to use without a computer, there are changes that we are going to be rolling out later this summer, and I'm sorry, I barely know enough to be dangerous, so I'm not going to get into the details of what those are, but we do expect to make the user interface a little bit more friendly, and that's certainly something that we can provide additional information to you on if we can get your number or email contact for you.
We do have his number, and we can provide that to you, Chris. Thank you for that. Great. Good evening to those of you that have just joined us. This is a live virtual telephone town hall hosted by the Regional Transportation District, or affectionately called RTD. I'm Roger, your moderator, and we are talking with District D Director Bobby Dishell. We also have agency staff joining Director Dishell to answer your questions. And as a reminder, if you are on the phone, you can press *3 to ask your question, or you can submit a question online if you're participating at rtd-denver.com/town hall. Just enter the question below the streaming viewer, and if you are viewing this on YouTube, just add your question in as a comment. We are going to go back to questions now, and let's hear from Robin next. Go ahead.
Hi, I live in Thornton, and I ride the N line. I'm a part-time commuter. I work every other week downtown. I know RTD is really trying to clean up Union Station, and for the most part, it's much better. But I can say that on Tuesday, when I got off the N line in the morning, there were homeless people sleeping in sleeping bags right as you got off the train. And that's concerning. I've also been on the N line at night when drug dealers basically got on board and were dealing drugs on board and then hopped off right before the train left. There was no staff in the car to help with this kind of stuff, to try to deter it. And it's just making for an unsafe experience. And I fear that a lot of people won't take RTD because of this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm happy to initially answer, and then Chief, if you want to talk about some of the security work as well as those N-Line ambassadors on the N-Line, that'd be great. I think, absolutely, homelessness is a crisis that is impacting not just RTD, not just the city and county of Denver, but the entire nation. And I would just say that, we can't enforce our way out of this problem. We cannot arrest our way out of drug use, out of homelessness. And if we could have, this would have been over with the war on drugs from long ago. I think, thank you for bringing it to our attention. And before the Chief chimes in on what we're doing in terms of keeping yourself and others safe and reporting that, I would really encourage you to talk about the impact it's having with your city and county officials. Encourage them to adopt affordable housing initiatives. Ask them what they're doing to help, because we help make lives better through connections. We help move people from A to B, and we need our community partners to step up to help provide that affordable housing for folks so that they're not, and those social services for folks so that they're not having to resort to sleeping on our streets.
Chief, do you have anything you'd like to add to that before we move on?
No, that was a great answer. The only other thing I could add is, Denver has really been assisting us. We were doing compassion and enforcement in the beginning. We were contacting a lot of individuals, trying to get them into service needs. We brought down homeless outreach coordinators, mental health clinicians. Denver brings the Wellness Winnie every Wednesday. We continue trying to get individuals to the multiple areas and organizations that could support their needs. There are a select few that are not taking advantage of all the opportunities that the cities do give, and we are now starting to go to more of an enforcement type philosophy in regards to that criminal behavior. So I can tell you, in the last few months, the police presence and the contacts have gone up dramatically, and we're hoping you'll see changes here soon. The only thing I could ask is patience, because we are in this transition of going back towards issues related to criminal behaviors, and the state statute, the legislation is going to try to get fentanyl back to a felony. Once that was brought down to a misdemeanor, that really affected all the cities and counties tremendously. And people are seeing that little bit of that mistake in regards to making that such a high level drug a misdemeanor. So I can tell you that more resources are being put out there, and hopefully you'll see changes here very quickly.
Thank you. All right, here, before we move on to our next topic, we're going to ask our third survey question. Again, for those of you listening on the phone, use your telephone keypad to enter the number of your response. If you're participating online, just click or enter your response. Here's that question. What factor would increase your likelihood of taking RTD services the most? Press 1 if for more affordable fares. Press 2 for a system where you feel safe. Press 3 for more frequent bus or train service. Press 4 for more service coverage in your area. While you're recording your vote, I'm going to ask Director Dishell to introduce our next topic. Director, go ahead.
Thanks, Roger. I want to talk about people power. At RTD, we have a workforce of over 3,500 employees. Positions include bus and rail operators, mechanics, administrative staff, and many more. Dan, would you introduce yourself and talk a little bit about our workforce?
Hello, I am Dan Merritt, and I am the lead planner for the west side of the city of our Service Development and Planning Department. Our workforce is something that is very important to RTD. We need everything from operators, mechanics, telephone help for the telephone information center, and a variety of other positions throughout the company. And unfortunately, that lack of employees has been impacting our ability to provide good service to the city. And as we have worked through our newest CBA and are hopefully reaching a place where we'll be paying better wages to all of our employees, we can attract better talent and get more people in here so that we can start getting more seats behind the wheel in a bus and getting more operators out there to provide better coverage to the city.
Director, what are some of the things you're most excited about with our new collective bargaining agreement?
Absolutely, Roger. And I also want to mention that we are currently hiring across the agency, including bus and rail operators, body shop techs, and mechanics, and many of these positions are eligible for a $4,000 signing bonus. I'm really excited about the new collective bargaining agreement signed by the Amalgamated Transit Union Local 1001 and RTD back in February of 2022. It offers additional benefits to employees with positions covered under the union. RTD offers competitive wages, education allowances, an excellent retirement savings plan, and paid in-house training programs, to name a few. What you may not know is that RTD also offers an extensive training program where you can learn to operate a train. If you're interested in being a bus operator, we will help you get that commercial driver's license, or CDL. If you're interested in joining RTD, please review the open positions on our website at www.rtd-denver.com/careers. That's www.rtd-denver.com/careers. If you don't see a position you're interested in right now, check back often because there's always something new. Roger, why don't we pause for a couple questions?
All right, let's hear from first a question that was submitted online, and that came in from Ava. She asked, you sparked her interest. She says, I heard about the $4,000 signing bonus for working with RTD. Is this bonus for all jobs?
This is Director Dishell. I'm happy to take it. This job, the $4,000 bonus is not available, to my knowledge, for every single job posting. That said, it is available for a number of them, especially a number of our frontline positions. And if you wouldn't mind just giving me a few moments, Roger, I'm happy to come back with an answer there shortly.
All right. While you're looking at that, let's go to. Go ahead. Jump in.
Yeah, this is Chris. Just for a little bit more clarification on that, the signing bonus applies to certain job openings that are unionized positions. So administrative positions that would not be getting that bonus.
Yeah.
And an example of.
No, go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to say, as an example of specific positions, they would include positions such as the body shop techs, bus and rail operators, mechanics, service and cleaning, and public safety dispatchers.
Thank you for that, Chris. So here are the results of our third survey question. We asked, what factor would increase your likelihood of taking RTD services the most? And 37% of you said more service in your area. 31% said more frequent bus and train service. 19% said safer system, and 13% said more affordable fares. We appreciate your input. We're going to have one more question here before we get to the end of our call. But right now it's time to talk about Reimagine RTD, the agency's plan for the next 5 years. Chris, I'm going to send it back to you to talk about Reimagine RTD. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Roger. So one thing, as we've noted before, at RTD, we do strive to be a strong community partner by providing value to customers as well as the broader metro region. And the Reimagine RTD effort is our first strategic priority, customer excellence is our first strategic priority, and the Reimagine RTD initiative is something that we believe falls under that priority. Now, the Reimagine RTD effort is a planning process to develop and address transit challenges, as well as answer the question of what is next for RTD. And, we've talked about earlier this evening, what are some of the current challenges that RTD has, in addition to some of the safety security things that we've talked about. We've also had pandemic-induced reductions in ridership, and we've also had limited increase in our funding, especially for the future. So now the Reimagine RTD effort is, the intent really is to provide us with a framework to guide future service decision making for the district through two key components. And that first component is what we're calling the Systems Optimization Plan. And that's the redesign of RTD services to balance the needs of the traveling public with the financial realities facing the agency today. The second component is what we're calling the Mobility Plan for the Future, and that's the identification of long-term strategies all the way from now to 2050 to address the region's future mobility needs. Now, earlier this year, we launched a public input and comment period for the Systems Optimization Plan, and again, that's the redesign of the transit network. And the comments that we received, a majority of which were requesting additional services, most of which did exceed what we expect to be our budgeted resources over the next few years. And then other areas where we've identified areas where we will keep an eye on certain routes, areas based on the comments that we've received, so that if funding does become available, we can consider those areas for future expansion in transit. Also related to the public and stakeholder comments, we did make some significant changes. We received about 1,600 comments on it, and we have since made adjustments to the Systems Optimization Plan where feasible. And our intent is to phase those changes in over the next 5 years so that by 2027 it should be fully implemented based on availability of operator resources and funding. Now with Reimagine, we are also developing, as I said earlier, a mobility plan for the future, and that is to address the longer term planning through 2050. And we expect in July the RTD board will act on the final systems optimization plan, again, the redesign of the transit future system, and then determine how to move forward with the mobility plan for the future as we kind of get that into its final gel. So that's a lot on the Reimagine, but happy to take questions on that as well.
Thank you, Chris. We do have a question that is related to this, and it came in from Carrie. She said earlier this year, RTD launched a public input period for Reimagine RTD and the system optimization plan, which those were evaluated, she says, but she is wondering if there is still time to provide comments, and what will RTD do with these comments that they've received?
Yeah, so as I noted earlier, we did launch the public input period for Reimagine for the systems optimization plan, and we did receive over 1,600 comments. So those comments were evaluated by the Reimagine RTD team to determine which of those ideas could be something that the agency could implement. And we have been able to make some adjustments to the plan to reflect the comments that we have received. And the next step is, though, that we will be taking the plan to the board for their consideration in the July timeframe. We also expect to have a study session with the board in June, but July is when the board would actually be acting on the final recommendation.
Thanks, Chris. And this could be for Dan or for you, Chris. RTD, I sign up for service alerts. I subscribe to service alerts, and sometimes there are cancellations to my route. What is RTD doing to mitigate or lessen these cancellations?
I can take that. This is Dan Merritt again. And one of the things that we do is we try and keep an extra board online, which is operators that don't vote specific work, but hang out every day at the garage, or not every day, sometimes they get assigned different things, but they spend many hours in the divisions waiting for someone to call in or for work to become available. And at that point, they are assigned the work and hurry out there and try and fill in the best they can on the fly for somebody else missing that day. And that is our best tool for trying to avoid service interruptions. And so the best way that we can do that is by having more people on staff and having a larger workforce.
Thanks there, Dan, for that information. That leads us back to, if you're looking for a great job with a potential big signing bonus, visit our website for our job openings right now. We definitely need operators. Let's take a minute to ask our last survey question for the evening. Callers, please use your telephone keypad, enter the number of your response, and if you're participating online, just click or enter your answer. Here it is. How satisfied are you with RTD services overall? Press 1 for very satisfied, press 2 for satisfied, press 3 for somewhat satisfied, and press 4 for very dissatisfied. While you are voting, I am going to turn the call over. We have a few minutes left to Director Dishell. We're almost out of time this evening, but what else would you like to talk about tonight with the audience and specifically about your district?
Sure. Thanks so much, Roger. And I want to provide a quick update on our transition to account-based ticketing. Over the summer, RTD is going to be changing out ticketing validators on buses and station platforms. Account-based ticketing, or ABT, is a quote-unquote ticketless way of allowing people to travel on public transit, where people simply tap or scan a secure token like a smart card, the new MyRide card, mobile device, credit card. The new system is also going to implement fare capping, which is a fare policy that ensures customers always pay the best fare, regardless of when or how they pay for their trips. I also want to extend an invitation to anyone. I'm more than happy to meet with you in the district or outside of the district and hear your thoughts on RTD. And finally, for folks in the district, a service alert went out, or a communication alert went out, that RTD is working to complete the overhead wires, do a wire replacement between Englewood and Littleton mineral stations on May 19th and 20th. So if on May 19th and 20th, that's today and tomorrow, the D-line train is not going to be running, there are regular routes. The trains are only going to run between downtown and Englewood Station. So if you are impacted, feel free to park at the Englewood Park and Ride to get to the rail services or explore other routes, including the Zero. There are bus shuttles that are running further south, which can help you get down there. The boarding for the buses at Littleton and Mineral are Gate A. Littleton to downtown for northbound is Gate B, southbound is Gate F. Oxford City of Sheridan is next to the platform, and Englewood is at Gate A. And I will go ahead and turn it back over.
Thank you, Director. We have time for one more very quick question. We're going to go to Christine for that. Christine, we're about 30 seconds, so go right ahead.
Hi. I just, first of all, I really want to impress upon you guys that if you provide the services, people will ride. I work at the University of Colorado Anschutz Medical Campus, and the number one, a lot of us have passes to ride the train, and yet most people, when I ask them why they don't ride with me, it's because if they miss a train, it's 30 minutes till another one arrives. If you guys build the service, people will ride it, but they have to be sure that they're going to be able to make it to where they're going in a fairly reasonable fashion, not in 2.5 hours. So please do that. And second, and the other thing is, I've never felt unsafe on the train or on the buses. Maybe it's just me. I'm 55. I ride by myself. And, I've only had good experiences with all of the people I've run into on the bus. Even the homeless people, they've all been great. So, yeah, I guess I've just lucked out.
Christine, thanks for those comments. Director, do you have any comments to what you just said?
Christine, thank you so much. And I can say with confidence that one of our biggest challenges to providing more service right now is getting more operators, mechanics, those frontline employees, those frontline positions that we talked about earlier that are posted. That right now, yes, there is always cost, but to my knowledge right now, the service, getting enough trained folks in those frontline positions to be able to run the service is one of our biggest challenges. So please, you guys can be our best supporters in helping us get more operators, get more frontline employees, so that we can continue to offer great service. And I would also mention, I know that the A-line service is Anschutz and not train runs at 15-minute headways, meaning to come every 15 minutes. But thanks so much for being a rider, and really appreciate your feedback and your partnership to help us get some more folks working for RTD.
Yes, thank you, Director. Here are the results of our last survey question. We asked, how satisfied are you with RTD services overall? And 38% of you said somewhat dissatisfied. That means we've got to work harder to make you happy. 24% said very dissatisfied, 23% said satisfied, and 15% said satisfied, very satisfied. Director, we've come to the end of our hour tonight. Do you have some final remarks?
Thank you everyone for being here, and for those of you who stuck it out the whole hour, we truly appreciate it. Please feel free to reach out to me at any time. I'm more than happy to make the time to meet with you and hear your concerns and elevate your voice at the board level.
All right, thank you very much, Director. We are sorry if we did not get to your questions tonight, but you can still leave us a message, question, or comment. Just stay on the line, and you'll be directed to a voicemail box. On behalf of Director Dishell, our panelists tonight, and all the hardworking public servants at RTD, thank you for taking part in this event, and we wish you a very good evening.